Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. And for the last time this season, I bring to you transfer plans, the Gameweek 38 edition, one which will be different to a transfer plans that would be recorded in and for Gameweek 38 in any of the seasons gone by, for reasons we shall discuss later. If you are a Crystal Palace fan, congratulations, firstly and foremost, because I thought the scenes were quite beautiful following your win last night. And aside from that, we will, of course, have a team review as well as transfer plans for this video. Given it's the last game week, and given there are still thousands of you who watch regularly who have not subscribed, maybe 1,000 of you could do so, right? It would take you 1 second. Just go and click the button now, and maybe we can make a surge to 8,000 subscribers from what appears to be out of nowhere. Equally, if you enjoy the video, do drop a like on it. And without anything else need to be said, let's get into the last transfer plans of the season. How quickly it has gone. Well, I say how quickly it has gone, but the season started on, August the 15th, 16th? So basically 3 months... Well, 9 months ago, right? 3 months off being 1 year, which means that the first transfer plans recorded was roughly 9 months ago. And honestly, it feels like a lifetime. I barely remember that. It feels like so much has happened since, which I think is a good indicator for the fact that life was busy and that we've had so much content and whatnot. But maybe that first statement wasn't exactly right. And I've got the wrong slide up. And this should be with Raya and Areola, but I'm just going to keep this in. I don't mind it. So I'll just start from the Raya and Areola slide. That was one of the many bloopers that could have been deleted this season, and thousands of them have certainly been done. So, particularly when it comes to introductions, they're definitely the most challenging part that I found so far this season. But we start with Ryan Areola, and I come to you for the first time in just under 4 months with a transfer plans where I can talk about my players and actually say, yeah, they did all right, because this is the first decent-sized green arrow I've had in 4 months, and we actually was right and had a bit of luck. Well, it appears that way at least. So that's good. Areola, I think it was a deserved 3 points. I think it was the perfect score for him because Forest didn't create too much, so to leave him with just 2 felt a little bit harsh. But then they did score twice. They had a few other chances. He made a couple good saves, but I guess he was at fault for the first goal, right? And then the second goal, I mean, that goal lasted about 10 years, given how long that VAR check was. I couldn't believe how long it was taking. But yeah, I think it was a fair score for him. But Raya, I think maybe he deserves a little bit more for his own personal performance. And I guess Arsenal's following the first 20 minutes as well. In the first 20 minutes, he's already on 5 saves, makes a couple brilliant double saves. One really good save, I thought, when strike was deflected from Barnes to Partey, and then it was going for the corner, but he saves well. And from there, I'm thinking, okay, if they keep a clean sheet, minimum 9, but probably 10, 11. But he gets booked late on, and he just doesn't make a save for the rest of the game. I thought they defended really well without Saliba. I thought Kiwior was fantastic. Calafiori had a really good 45 minutes as well. But overall, quite happy with the decision to play Raya. I think I got a little... Well, I did get lucky because, one, there's no Alexander Isak. Does that change things? Does he offer more threat than Wilson? Yeah, absolutely. And 2, on another day, he doesn't make all those 5 saves that he does in the first 20 minutes. But when it's going your way, it's going your way. And you will win. So that is that, and now we can move on to the defense. We very much went big at the back this week. I mean, very big at the back. Currently, they combine for 29, and that is just from 3 of them, and it could have been more. Kiwior, I mean, similar to Raya, has a really good game, a really good game, and he was on for 1 extra point as well before he got booked for that scuffle with Burn right at the end of the game. I was like, please send him off. Really, this late, don't do it like that. But thankfully, he didn't, and he also recorded 7 points. So this time, betting on the Arsenal defense at home works. At least it appears to have done so. And then Konsa, that was a big 15-pointer. It really set the tone for the game week, and I certainly could have done with that. So yeah, that was great. I think one thing I've spoken about him so much is the box threat he generates. Just sensational, especially for someone like his frame and size. He's not the biggest guy in the world, right? When it comes to centre-backs, and yeah, mainly centre-backs. But his understanding, his sixth sense in particular, is elite. And I really think that's what it is, more so than anything else. I don't think this is so much something which is trained, right? I doubt he's going home and watching hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of footage of centre-backs who manage to generate box threat, right? I'm not saying he's not working on it, but probably not to the extent whereby the results would warrant this. I think it's very much something more intuitive. And I find it so impressive, and I think people should learn of him, if anything else. And yeah, I think the goal he gets in a 15-pointer is one that's been deserved. 1, for Villa's performances as of late defensively, but also 2, what he offers you in the box. And it's not just from headers, but he always manages to get his foot on it, or at least more than often, right? Good stuff from him. And then Guardiola would just is basically a dead spot, right? It's 10% plus EO that you gain. But some people have double seat defense, so you probably want him to concede. Should you just be starting him from the back? Munoz, well, I don't know, if they're going to be drinking all day. Maybe they'll train Monday evening, and then like rock up to Selhurst Park, really fired up for it. But I don't think they care too much. I've seen Dean Henderson like not care too much either after the final, following a sensational performance. So I think Wolves could maybe score, and I really don't know if Munoz is going to start. And just in case, like I have to get Neco off the bench for whatever reason, maybe Sarr in my first bench spot doesn't start. How rare is it that someone concedes? There's 3 goals in the game. They don't get an attack and return, and yet they still get 2 bonus. Getting 4 from Williams probably wouldn't be so bad instead of ISAK. But that's the defense. Now we can move on to the midfield. This appears to be a big letdown because when I went into this game week, I was really looking at these guys who score big for me. But to get a combined 15 points, exclude the extra 5 for captaincy, from these 4, averaging less than 4 points per player. Okay, Newcastle at home's not easy, but between Man United, Forest at home's not easy. But between those 4 games, right, considering you got 3 penalty takers and considering the quality, considering what was on the line, right? Like Palmer must-win game, Saka must-win game, Bowen, okay, fine, not too much on it. Brentford must-win game. Only walk away with like less than 4 points a player. Not so great, it would appear. Bowen, I mean, he doesn't really have much at all during the game. I actually didn't watch the last 15 minutes. I probably watched the first like 70, 75, and then switched it off. Well, I watched other football actually. But, I mean, what a brilliant finish. And he's honestly been one of my players of the season, if not my player of the season. I mean, I bring him in early on, gets like 30 points in 6 weeks, averages 5 points a game. Really solid for his price. Then gets that like goal at the Emirates for the Graham Potter. Then comes in and he just goes, like 8, 9, 10, 8. Just top stuff. And Bowman was the big one, right? I mean, scores early on, see the notification. I'm loving it. And then obviously misses the penalty. And that's the difference between getting 5 and 15. And who knows what could have followed after. But just wasn't meant to be. That's okay. Sometimes it happens. Palmer didn't really have much. I thought it was quite a justified 2-pointer, to be honest. Maybe on another day he gets like some... Actually, no. Madueke should have scored that chance. I'll take that back. I probably should have got a bit more. And there were a couple of moments where he could have. So yeah, I take that back entirely. But I just wasn't too impressed with the performance, like overall. And I don't think it's so much his fault. I just don't like the way Maresca uses him, like in this system in these type of games. So many times, if not like all of the times, central areas, left-hand side, doesn't give him the ability to access the angles where he's more proficient. Just reduces likelihood of output and impacting the game significantly. That's more so where the view comes from. And then Saka didn't look particularly sharp compared to his usual self. I think normally he gets more of the ball. You see more dangerous actions, but you didn't see that. So I'd say of all of them, he was the most justified 3-pointer and Blanca. Obviously, we've got Sarr on the bench. Obviously, I decided not to sell ISAK, but rather sell Cunha. Looking pretty good as of now. And Sarr will be coming on for ISAK. I imagine he gets some minutes. Personally, I actually think Sarr will start, given the level of his physical conditioning. So that could be an interesting prospect at home to Wolves, especially where his EO is quite low. We will start on the left-hand side with Omar Marmoush, which is probably where he plays as a second striker against Bournemouth. And I was shocked when I found out his effective ownership. Like 16%. I couldn't believe how many people sold him as well. Like, I get the Watkins craze, but still, 650-ish K transfers out for Marmoush. Wow, I think it's such a wonderful opportunity. Stylistically, I think it's great. Like, high line, you want someone who's going to function as a second striker with the pace to run off players in behind, has Haaland to, I guess, not absorb the centre-backs, but occupy them quite well, and almost function a bit like a magnet for Marmoush to go unnoticed, like functioning as a strato striker with his level of ball striking. Yeah, like his pace, yeah, I really like it. I'm quietly confident, maybe slightly loudly confident about his prospects against Bournemouth. He would probably definitely have penalties if he scored the one in the FA Cup, but he didn't. I personally think he will get another chance at them because of his level of ability from dead ball situations, how good his ball striking is. I think it's a bit harsh just to like give him one and say, oh, you missed one, that's it. You're never getting one again whilst Haaland's on the pitch. He's objectively a better penalty taker than Haaland. Haaland's really not that good at them. A bit like Salah, at least from every season bar this one. But McAllister's definitely a better taker than him for like squad hierarchy and who scores goals, like kicks in a little bit. Whereas with Marmoush being a second striker and Haaland clearly like not minding too much, which I think is really good of him, he was happy to give it to Marmoush. So I actually think might take one against Bournemouth. Like if Haaland took one, wouldn't be surprised. Watkins 5-pointer could have been a bit more. Yeah, could have been a bit more, but like it wasn't something where, oh yeah, he definitely should have scored like 100%. I don't know what Cunha's going to do, right? Like I don't even know if he's going to start or whatever, but still relatively happy with the move, especially because I have him now ahead of Man United away, and that is just a lock. And yeah, ISAK doesn't turn up, and we finish on 57 with 3 to go. Obviously, like Salah's at like 99.5% EO tomorrow. So maybe a little bit less actually, because I think some sold him for Palmer. But we'll see how that goes. I'm decently confident in Brighton getting something done, if not more so. And yeah, that is the team. That is the last review we'll have. Maybe I'll review a little bit in EYN on Wednesday, following the 2 games on Tuesday and the one on Monday. But yeah, that's that. And now we can move into transfer plans. Now, in the introduction, I said that this was a strange version of Gameweek 38 and one we've probably never had before. And it really is, because every year that I can remember from Gameweek 38, the list of players to buy, well, it's a long list. We're excited about the players we're owning. There are huge, huge ceilings to some of these players on our sides in general, and it's very much reflected through the scores that we generate. But this season, like, I look at the list of options, and it is so barren. It's so boring as well compared to what it could be. Just how things are planned out and how teams are playing and how certain players are playing and the matchups they have. So I will present to you a few options, some for my team, some more general. I guess they all apply to my team, but some a bit more general, and then we can just go from there. So more so for my team, I think my preference is to make a forward transfer. Like, if I could do anything, I'd probably sell Marmoush and buy a Van Nissen. That is if he's not injured, and some rumors have been circulating around on X today, and if he is, obviously, then I'm not going there. Instead of getting him in the forward category, just because I don't think I love Marmoush against Fulham away, I can see that going a little bit sideways, especially because Fulham won today, right? Wasn't expecting that. Good on them. I could buy Wissa because I think like Brentford probably score a couple at least away at Wolves, and these guys, him and Mbeumo's always involved. So I could buy him. Preferably not, however, given how high his EO is. And Wolves do have it in them to produce a good performance, especially if they get a good one against Palace and just like manage to ensure the game against Brighton was a bit of a blip. And if so, then like I definitely won't go there. But like, you never know. This could be like worst case scenario. And it would likely be Marmoush out. ISAK would only be leaving if he's confirmed to be injured. But the thing with him is like, I would rather chance it because I'll probably have Sarr on my bench. And I don't mind him away at Liverpool. I mean, that game is just going to be 2 guys who are very much on the beach and celebrating. Who knows? Maybe they'll even start like hugging and chilling out during the game. So I'm okay with Sarr playing that game, like stylistically and just in terms of how relaxed they'll probably be. I don't think it's actually a bad thing for Palace, especially at Anfield. It'd just be a party atmosphere all around. So if he is going to miss out, then cool, I don't mind getting Sarr off the bench, but I would rather have him because following their defeat, like, you don't want to take the game. Let's say they don't have him, right? And the game's like 0-0 at halftime, 0-0 at 60 minutes. All of a sudden it gets really nervy, and you would think Isak probably sitting at home thinking, oh, maybe I should have chanced it. So I think he plays, even though he might have to have a scan, or he will have a scan this week. But this isn't like the most exciting thing you've ever seen, right? Like, a lot of you own Wissa, given his EO, and then Van Nissen's just one player, and what if he's injured? So here are some like potential options, and again, they're not like the most attractive options, but they are ones that I think at least some of them have decent ceilings associated to them. One thing I did not mention on that slide, and one thing that is not mentioned on this slide, is defenders. Like, what if, for example, you really hate your defense, Saliba is injured, you don't have any other Arsenal, and you just don't really like your defense? Then yeah, there are some options. However, in general, I far prefer making midfield and forward transfers, and I don't think defense is like as bad as it once seemed. Like, you probably own a piece of Villa, so you can start them away at Man United. They're defending really well. If you've got double, great, start them both. If you've got Arsenal, start all of them. And some of you will have like double of one of the other. That's already 3, and you can probably just play Guardiola and just, it is what it is, right? And that's it, done. I think there's more upside to be had in the midfield and forward line. And let's say you just had 3 of those, right? 1 Arsenal, 1 Villa, one Guardiola. Then like you could find, or maybe allow yourself to be a little bit suboptimal on defense and just prioritize the midfield and attack, because there's probably going to be more points there. And regardless of who you bring in 38, I don't think outside of Arsenal there's any particularly secure clean sheets. So who do I like? Justin Kluivert, for obvious reasons, like Leicester at home. But I'm not like super confident about betting against Leicester. I mean, they get the draw away against Forest last week, and then sandwich either side to good wins against Southampton and Ipswich. Like, they were pretty decent in both. So they were decent against Southampton. I haven't watched any of the game today, but I heard that they were decent. So I think with that in mind, like, you have to be a little bit cautious about going Bournemouth. You can't just be like, oh, it's Leicester, they're going to smash them, because Bournemouth haven't been like unbelievable as of late either. Good, like they've picked up a bit of form again, but not like unbelievable. So consider it, but he does have a high ceiling, and that's something that a lot don't have. Martinelli, he was probably my favorite option out of anyone in the game, But then, like, I see Havertz coming back, so I'm like, oh, if he does play, he's not even going to play 9 on the assumption Havertz starts. I think he gets the nod over Trossard for, like, even if Kai Havertz does start, but like you wouldn't really want him at left wing in comparison to 9. But I still think there's like a decent upside to him, even if he is to play on the left. So this is again something to consider, and it's probably the best fixture of the game week. Kudus, this is more so for the fixture. He hasn't been great this like season in terms of output. So the ceiling's probably not too high as well, but he could do okay. And I think away at Ipswich, I wouldn't be surprised if West Ham scored a couple. I wouldn't be surprised if he maybe got one. So this is very much a fixture play, and I guess just backing someone's quality as opposed to like how the team are playing, the position he's playing, the form, and so on and so on. Like I expressed, Liverpool Palace can be a bit of a party. That's just it, a bit of a party. And in those type of games where it probably becomes a little bit more transition based, right? Because I don't think the blocks that are set will maybe be as disciplined as usual. You could probably see someone like Diaz or Szoboszlai do pretty decently on the assumption they get good expected minutes. We've seen Palace's like ability not to handle a high press particularly well as well. So like if Liverpool do press well, because their high press is different to others, right? For example, it's not one which goes all the way. For example, you see Jurgen Klopp, that press will go all the way, right? We're chasing you anywhere. But like Liverpool's like first line up to a certain point are a little bit lethargic, or I'd say more calculated, because that's just not what they're instructed to do. But like Palace don't cope particularly well against the high press. They didn't at St James's Park. They didn't at the Etihad. Hence why they shipped 10 that game week. So, something to consider there. Gordon and Barnes, I mean, Everton defensively without Tarkowski haven't looked as good. So could one of these guys be an option? Yeah, absolutely. Probably go Gordon because he probably just stays on the left. I think Howe loves him as well. Like they take off Murphy today, and I was just thinking to myself, like, when you need to get back in the game, he's been so good for you. Could you not just leave him on the right and then just take one of the natural left wingers off and lose a bit of their quality? Like, personally, what I would have done or what I was thinking. But given the fact that he's done that, and he's done that a couple of times, I think Gordon just gets the nod at left wing and he'll get good minutes there as well. So for me, this is actually one of the better options. Spurs are in a really rough moment, like just in general. Obviously, they've got the final in 3 days. If they win, and I actually do think they're going to win, they really won't care one little bit about that game against Brighton. These guys are just going to be partying as well. Brighton, on the other hand, especially if they beat Liverpool, will really care. So I think you'll see a very disciplined and serious Brighton, and maybe not so much that for Spurs, in which case João Pedro, a well-rested João Pedro, or well back, could be interesting up top in, like, let's say, place of Evanilson instead to bring him in. And this is like a real stretch, but just like I could see Damsgaard doing kind of well at Wolves. I thought he's had a really good season. He's played really well. He's been close to getting some returns at some times. I wouldn't be surprised if he got one or two, just floating in and around in the pockets, getting in there and generating a goal or assist from there. Especially with how aggressive Brentford's game model is, I think like the opportunities for him to return in that fashion for a player like himself slightly higher than if he was at any other club. But that really is a stretch. And yeah, that's what I've got at the moment. I imagine things will present themselves between now and Wednesday, and then we can discuss it again, and that too in far more depth. These are just my initial thought for these strange circumstances. And that is all she wrote for the last transfer plans of the season. Thank you so much for all your support throughout them. I've really enjoyed making these. I'll probably say that, like I said, for all 4 of the types of videos that we have, but thank you so much. That is one thing that I think I'm allowed to do, and that is thank you quite a bit. I shall see you on Wednesday for everything you need. Good luck for Brighton versus Liverpool. Good luck for City versus Bournemouth. And good luck for Palace versus Wolves. I shall see you on the other side. Goodbye and have a wonderful start to your week.